Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast of Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna, nourishing our souls and fostering growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. It is Thursday of Holy Week, April 17th, 2025, marking day 38 of the last week of the Lenten journey. Today is also known as Maundy Thursday. It celebrates or commemorates Jesus' Last Supper with his disciples, and it was the time he washed their feet. This was an act of his humility, and then he added a commandment to them for them to do the same in remembrance of him. And as a community, they were to love one another. The lectionary reading is from the New Testament Gospel of John, chapter 13. And as we step into the narrative, we can feel the tension in the air over Jerusalem. The city is bustling with pilgrims arriving for the feast of Passover. Many have heard about Jesus, who made a dramatic entrance into the city on Sunday, riding on a donkey, surrounded by a crowd of peasants, waving palm branches and shouting, "Hosanna! Free us!" The religious authorities were unsure what to do because the pilgrims seemed to want to see Jesus and not worship at the temple. And the religious authorities, were concerned and afraid about what the Roman authorities might do in order to prevent trouble. Just before the Passover festival, Jesus and his disciples gathered for supper. He loved them dearly, knowing that his time with them was drawing to a close. Dissension and confusion erupted on the streets of Jerusalem. Tension also existed inside the dining room where Jesus and his disciples were. Jesus felt deep sorrow. The relationship between him and his disciples was about to crumble, but Jesus knew that his Father controlled all that would occur next. Jesus, the leader of this small band of disciples, will take on the role of a servant. He rises from the table, removes his outer robe, ties a towel around himself, draws water, and begins to wash and dry his disciples' feet with the towel. Peter, one of the disciples, protests that he doesn't want Jesus to wash his feet. Jesus challenged him, saying, unless he allowed Jesus to do this, he would not be part of the community. Peter's sarcastic response is to ask Jesus to give him a bath from head to toe. But Jesus ignored Peter's request, telling him he was already clean. And then he dropped a hint, though the hint was that not every disciple was clean. Jesus then returned to the dinner table, asking the disciples, do you know what I've done to you? What had Jesus done? By washing their feet, he taught his disciples by example that they were to be a community, his community. He had washed their feet, and offered them the example of how they were to live together. He, the teacher, had become the servant, and no servant was greater than his master. Before the night ended, Jesus told the disciples to love one another just as he had loved them. This would let everyone know they were his disciples if they loved one another. On that first Maundy, Thursday evening, Jesus taught his disciples to see beauty in each other's dirty, smelly feet. I wonder, what might we learn on Monday, Thursday, 2025? We too must see beauty in our brothers and sisters' dirty, smelly feet, and we can wash them in humble, loving service. We can also follow Jesus' command to love one another, and then we'll be able to join with the Old Testament poet Isaiah in his poem, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns."